The thing that's crazy is, well, which I'll share with you, is after Reasonable Doubt, like you said, as far as these next albums come, that was it. He was supposed to just do Reasonable Doubt and he was going to retire. He just wanted to put out that one album just as a, middle finger to everybody that said he couldn't do it. But then he put out the B-side to Dead Presidents, which is Ain't No. Ain't No nigga like the one I got. Mm-hmm. He just, there's different turning points in his career, and that was one of them. Because once that song hit and the radio got wind of it and the club started playing it, it took him to another level where he's seen the success now. It wasn't now the middle finger, I put one out, see, you said I couldn't. It was like, wait a minute. They're feeling this, no pun intended. They're feeling it, But it was out there. So now it's like, all right, cool. I know I said I'm just gonna put this one out. I'm gonna put one more out, but I'm gonna divide it in two volumes. Volume 1 and Volume 2. So now he comes back. It's like, yo, you gotta do your thing again. So, here I was just thinking, Reasonable Doubt, and I said, which was funny, Reasonable Doubt came out on June 25th, 1996.
The fact that you remember that's crazy.
Well, I graduated from high school that same day. I always see it as a double graduation for me because, it was weird back then. You had to buy albums. So they used to come out on Tuesdays. And that day was obviously a Tuesday, but there was always these mama and pop shops that would have them on Sunday or Monday already. That's how they made their money. That was their, little hustle. So instead of going to Coconuts or the Wiz or Virgin Records, you would go to these mom and pop record stores that already had it. And that's how they made the bulk of their money. So it was weird being in my graduation, like, yo, I heard you on album, because, throughout that whole, starting in 96 till June of 96, I was doing that in school. I was doing that all over the place, all those voices and stuff like that. Like, yo, that's you on the album. So it was crazy that I graduated that day and it came out that day. So that's always a weird thing. So, like I said, I always felt like I graduated that day in two ways, in two games, if you will. Because now I wasn't just the intern. I wasn't just the person that was saying F you to the people that we were rebelling against. Now it's like, all right, cool, you're an artist of your own, which is weird. So it's like, hey, you got to do it again. So this time, I already had something in mind that I wanted to do. And I remember saying it to him. I'm like, yeah, I want to do this, So here's me. So he's just looking at me. He's looking at me weird. And then he just starts mumbling like, blah, 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 blah. And I remember Damon was next to me. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Damon, you shut up. I'm like, what is he doing? But he's going into his little Rain Man thing. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh man, I'm hyping this dude up. Like my intros or my little monologue, whatever, is getting him in some kind of zone. So that's when I saw that it was different. You know what I mean? That he was coming up with music right off the top of the dome just because I came up with a scene from a movie that I liked that I wanted to kind of pertain to him. Now he's mumbling stuff. Now next thing I know, we're in the studio and he's doing a million. He's doing other songs like that just off that. I'm like, oh wow, okay. Now I understand where this is going. This is a real artist. This isn't just a hustler dude that I knew or the coolest guy in the room. This is an artist. So, we take that to the next level. And he specifically told me he wanted to mention those words or have me mention those words that I'm not a rapper, I'm a hustler. Just so happens I know how to rap. Okay, I'm real. He wanted that in there. He wanted the world to know that this isn't about rhyming. I'm a hustler. This just happens to be what I'm hustling now. But he's so great, it's amazing. And then of course that comes out, and that becomes his second turning point of his career because the record wasn't really received that well, that Volume 1. At the time, even though looking back,
that's exactly what we said.
I believe it's one of the greatest albums he's ever come up with.
I said that today. I said it's in my personal top 5.
It might not be one of his greatest albums, but to me, it's one of his most important albums. And here's why, because it becomes the turning point of maybe his whole career. Because that should have been it right there. That was going to be it, literally. Because it wasn't really received the way he wanted it to. Because maybe a little bit of trying to capitalize off of the Bad Boy thing at the time with all their producers. Because if you notice one thing about him and his albums, they are all like movies. And all the things that I do are like narrations. But one thing that you see, just like with movies, there's different directors for every movie. So in Jay's case, there's different producers, bulk producers for every project. Reasonable Doubt, you have Ski, Clark Kent, mostly bulk producing that album. Volume 1, The Hitmakers, mostly bulk producing that album. Now Volume 2, he starts going with a little bit more Swizz influence. And that's why you see the Rough Rider thing. And then Volume 3, he goes a little bit more with Timberland, the Neptunes, leading into the La Familia album, which is more Neptunes. And then another turning point, he gets his own producers and says, now you produce for me exclusively, a la Kanye, a la Just Blaze. But we'll get to that later. Back to Volume 1. He went with the Hitmakers as the directors of the piece, if you will. A lot of people saw that as trying to tag along with the whole, after Big passed, You Belong to the City, Sunshine, the videos, they were like a little bit bad boy influence. So that should have been it right there. That should have been like, you know what? Alright, this guy's cool, but we've seen that already. What changes everything is they decide, you know what? This is a dope album though. This still is a hard album. Let's get away from the shiny suit era. Let's showcase Jay, the hustler. And then they put out Street Swatch in the movie.
So that comes out after Volume 1.
That is attached to Volume 1, but later on. Volume 1 is put out in November of 1997. Yeah, I don't know all these dates. It comes out in November 97, and that whole album is important because it gets him on the Bad Boy No Way Out tour. He's on the tour starting in November of 97. That's when he came out with Missing You, a Diddy, and all that. He gets frustrated on tour, so his time on stage is not what he feels it should be, this and that. They get very frustrated, so they leave the tour. But one thing that's important that happens while they're on tour is they get the beat for Hard Knock Life.